Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2, grabbing the Heroism Protocol Engaged achievement. This is going to be done in Mega Man X8. It is to unlock every single power-up for all three characters. What you want to do is you want to make sure you get these cheat codes in. Of course, cheat codes will only work on normal difficulty, but you do need these 4 to get yourself the collectibles. So make sure you start up a new game. I recommend beating the game first, clearing all of the Maverick stages, as well as getting all of the armor types. That way you should be set for every single type of collectible. Starting off, we are going to start off in Noah's Park. You can start replaying this intro stage after clearing at least one Maverick stage. The first collectible is going to be right as you get past the first waterfall. You are going to need 0 for this, and you need to use his double jump ability to double jump behind the waterfall to grab the first rare medal right here. Second one, you need the Icarus armor for, so play until you get past the first mini-boss room. You need the Icarus armor's headpiece in order to break a hole in the wall right over here. So make sure you do that, and then in here is going to be rare medal number 2. So once you pick that up, you should be done with all the collectibles in this stage. On to the Booster Forest. All of these collectibles require the ride armor. First collectible is going to require you to have Axel and 0. Make sure you get to the part where you hop into the ride armor. Just like that one armor piece for X, you need to bring the armor with you through most of the stage. So make sure you use the hover ability to get onto this higher platform. You have to jump out, shoot the button to get the elevator up, which should let you bring the ride armor up, and then you have to take this thing with you through the rest of the stage. A little side detour right here, at least for this collectible, is you need to hop out right as you get past the fountain, and you need to use Axel's copy shot ability on this enemy. It's going to be the robot with like spring limbs. You need to use the copy shot, copy his ability, and then bring it with you. It will come in handy right when we get to the collectible. But as soon as you do that, make sure you hop back into the ride armor and continue taking it with you throughout the rest of the levels. Be careful of those jumps. As long as you are in this thing, you only have one shot with it. If the ride armor ever falls into a pit, you are going to have to start the stage all over again, which is very annoying. First tricky jump is right here because that conveyor belt will pull you in. As soon as you land, just start dashing right away, and then you get to this part. In order to bring the ride armor past this spiky conveyor belt, you have to jump out. The armor should go underneath the platform, and then you have to drop back in, and then you have to quickly hover over to this room right here. Get past the first mini-boss room. It's actually pretty easy because you can just jump on the enemies and they should die in one hit. Then once you get here, this is going to be another elevator. This is the place where we got X's armor piece in the upper left corner. However, we are taking the armor further right. So make sure you drop off the armor at the elevator. You need to switch over to 0, and then you need to slide down the wall and then use his melee attack to flick the switch. You can try to shoot it, although it's easier to do it with 0, which is why we brought him along as our secondary. You want to go onto this elevator and then just stand on it. It should lower all the way down. Once you're here, you need to switch over back to Axel, drop back down into the lower corner, use the ability that we just copied earlier, and that will allow you to transform into a ball. Then you can roll into the corner, and behind here should be a hidden nook with the collectible. Start the level over again because we need to switch out characters. This time we are going to roll with X and 0. Same thing, hop into the ride armor, and then this time you want to bring it to the same room. However, instead of taking the elevator down, you want to try to jump across, and there should be a platform right over here that you can get to, and then with the ride armor we can break these boxes and then proceed to this hidden area. There is going to be another spiky conveyor belt right here, as well as a normal conveyor belt. What you want to do is you want to ditch the ride armor first. You have to make sure you take out these enemies, because if you don't, they will stun you in a bit and you will lose your ride armor. Once you take care of them, hop back into the armor and then ditch it under the conveyor belt. You have to do the thing like you did earlier where you have to wait for it and then jump back into it. But this time, as soon as you get back in, you want to quickly hit jump and then hover onto this platform. Ditch the armor again right here, and then you want to move forward. You will find this enemy right here. Make sure you take him out, and this switch right behind him. As you can see, it lowers that platform to the right. As soon as it's lowered all the way, you want to get back into your armor, and then what you have to do is you have to inch forward, 1 foot on this platform. You want to dash forward, and as soon as you hit the conveyor belt, you want to dash forward again. Don't over dash because the second conveyor belt is going to take you off. Instead, you want to just jump onto the platform you just lowered. And then as soon as you have that set up, you want to jump off. You want to shoot that same switch to get the platform back up. Wall jump back to the ride armor, and this time you want to use it to break these blocks right here. Then what you want to do is you want to switch on over to the crystal wall ability, and then you want to use the charged up version, which will help reveal hidden items in certain areas. The hidden item is going to be on this circle thing. So if you remember from earlier, we passed by some boxes. If any of them broke on the way here, you have to restart the level. But whatever the case, you want to make sure you are in the right armor. You want to go back to that platform. You want to make sure you hit the switch to get it in the lower position. Then you have to dash forward to get onto the boxes. You want to do a small jump up to land on the higher boxes, and then jump up to get into the mini boss room. You have to make sure it's a small jump. If you over jump and you break the boxes, you have to start all over because there's no other way of getting the right armor further in the level, which is very, very annoying. But after that, you want to make it to this room. You have some more elevators right here. You want to jump on the first one. As it's being lowered, the second one is going to start rising. You want to get risen enough where you can jump on it and then jump across on it to this spiking conveyor belt. Ditch the right armor again. It should lower on to this elevator in the background. And then what you have to do is you have to make sure you follow it in the foreground as it's being risen in the background. So pretty much you're trying to chase it, but the goal here is to stay in front of it. It moves kind of slow, so make sure you keep it in view, but just don't let it get away from you. You want to wait by this window right here. You can see the collectible in the background, so what you have to do is you have to make sure you get into the right armor as it's coming out, and then quickly jump on the left. If you're too late, you are going to have to start over, as with most of the collectibles in this level. But make your way to the left, and then what you want to do is you want to jump back into that shaft we just came out of. If you fall down, you will break the floor, and then you will land on the elevator. Then all you have to do is just ride it, and you should automatically get the collectible, and that should be the last one for this level. Next level we are going to tackle is going to be Pitch Black. You are going to need 0 for this, as well as Axel for the first collectible. So what you want to do is you want to make your way to the Spotlight room. Make sure you try your best to get over these spotlights because fighting the enemies is a little annoying. You will notice along the way that there is a security guard. What you have to do is you have to use Axel's copy shot ability in order to copy him. So he should appear right after these double spotlights right here. There should be a stunning enemy right above him, so make sure you take him out. Switch over to Axel, use the copy shot to make sure you grab his ability, and then what you want to do is you want to switch back, and then you want to keep making your way until you notice the drop. Be very careful not to drop down. It's a little hard to get up. However, if you have 0, you can just use the double jump to get back up. But instead of dropping down, you want to dash across, jump up. You should notice this crevice right here in the upper left corner. Switch back to Axel and then use the copy ability. You should be a security guard now. The security guard will let the other security guard in. Basically, you salute each other. Then you want to switch back to regular Axel. You want to use the plasma gun and then use it to charge up this generator. That should shut off all of the security. However, it also gets the collectibles to appear. So as soon as that happens, you want to drop down. This time you want to go to the lower level. Keep making your way around the stage until the stage starts to bend right before the next door. Don't go through the door, obviously, because you can't backtrack in this game, as with any Mega Man X game. But once you get to the end of the hallway, you might notice these 2 platforms that weren't here when the lights were off. Use Zero's double jump ability, and you should be able to cling on, jump to the higher one, and there should be the rare metal right here. Then what you want to do is you want to backtrack all the way to the higher part, so make your way back to where we came from. This time you want to try to get back on that platform. Once again, it's a little tricky, however, you should be able to make it with the double jump. This time go to the upper part and then head to the right, and there are going to be some more platforms here. You shouldn't need 0 to reach them. Axel can actually reach them. However, if you want some extra money, you can just jump along the way. But the last one should have the rare metal we need, and you can pick it up with anybody. If you fall down for whatever reason, as you can see, the jump is high enough to just wall jump up with Axel. But after that, we are going to start the level over again. This time you want X and Axel. Once again, you need an X that can use charged abilities, so ultimate armor definitely for this. Make sure you use the copy shot on the same security guard from earlier to take his ability, and then what you want to do is you want to make your way back to that same room we were just at. If you forgot how to get there, it should be at the end of this hallway right before the drop down. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure you go on inside, do the same thing as earlier, switch over to Axel, use his ability to transform into a security guard, use the salute ability, and then the other guard should open up the door for you. After that, you want to switch on over to X again. You could turn on the lights if you want to. You don't really need it since we're just getting the collectible, so you can use the plasma gun to turn off the lights and the security, but the important thing is to switch back to X. You are going to need the crystal ability again, and the hidden item is going to be on the little triangle thing on the floor. So once again, you have to use a charge shot, so make sure you're using the ultimate armor, and then charge shot the crystal, and the collectible should pop up, and then we should be done with another stage. Then it's on to the level Primrose, the very annoying level with the anti-gravity switches and all that stuff. You are going to need Ultimate Armor X for this, as well as Zero. Start up the stage, you want to make your way to the second staircase room. The level all looks kind of samey, so it should be the room right after that one, and it's the staircase room going upwards for the first time. You want to have Ultimate Armor X, you want to be on the second or third last step. You want to jump up and then use the Nova Strike to float on over to the far left. There should be a block right here. Then you have to use a charged crystal in order to reveal the hidden item. So charge it up, and this is another reason we needed the ultimate armor, and the item should be in this block. So make sure you grab that. Then the next one is going to be in the second to last rotating room right before the last boss. So the room before is going to look just like that, and this is going to be the room with the collectible. Be very careful not to hit the teleporter in this room because it will take you to the last room, and if you go too far, obviously there's no backtracking. So you want to rotate the room. There's the last teleporter for reference, and then this time you want to go to the left, and the collectible should be in the lower left, at least at this angle. Once again, it could look different if you rotate it the wrong way. Just drop down and grab it. You shouldn't worry about the spikes since we're just going for the collectible and not worrying about the level. On to Metal Valley. This one, you want to make sure you have Zero and Ultimate Armor X. You are going to start off with the chase scene, as the level normally is, but just get past that. Once you get to the part where you're moving left, you might notice this dip right after the first couple of conveyor belts. You need to switch back to X. You have to do the charge crystal thing as always, so make sure you do that. However, this collectible is going to be the second most important one you need towards clearing the game, because it will give us a discount on the money that we need to grind out earlier. A 10% discount, however, a discount nonetheless. So make sure you pick that one up, and this time you want to make it back to where we came from, which should be the crane. So keep going right until you get back to the crane, and then you might notice these platforms in the background. You are going to need to use the Nova Strike for this, or if you have Axel, you can use his hover also. I find the Nova Strike's a little more reliable, however, it's a little hard to steer once you stop, so try your best to steer yourself on to the I-beams, but if you keep going, there should be the collectible right over here. You might want to switch over to Zero, because I find it easier to use the double jump to make this last one, so grab that and grab the collectible, and we should be done with one more stage. After that, it's on to Central White, the very, very annoying snowmobile level. This is going to be even more annoying because you have to use Axel and Zero to get the collectibles, which means you can't use X for the ship fight, which means it's going to take like a million shots to take it out. So best of luck getting past that first part. But once you get to the on-foot part, you want to make your way to the little overhang above the boss room. You want to use Zero to wall jump and double jump up where the ice blocks are. There is an armor piece behind there, but switch to Axel and then use his hover ability to get across, land on the first arch, and then just wall jump up. Then it's on to Inferno, an equally frustrating stage, but make sure you pick Zero and Axel for the first collectible. Get past the first part where you are descending from the platforms. Once you're in the boiler room area, keep going down until you get to this little bend right here. You should notice a jet enemy. You have to use the copy shot in order to copy his ability, so make sure you grab that, and then you have to do a bit of backtracking. So switch back to Zero because we want to keep Axel alive. There's a lot of spikes here, so I recommend investing in some health power-ups or some spike guards. But whatever the case, you want to backtrack to the part where you see the bats. It should look a little something like this. You might notice a hole in the left of the wall right there. Switch back to Axel and then use the copy shot ability to transform into the jet guy. He's very, very hard to control, so I recommend going on this platform, switching over to him, and then using his glide ability. And you have to aim for the hole and then make it in. There should be a collectible in this hidden room right here. So make sure you pick that one up. After grabbing that one, we are going to go back to the store, and this time we are going to invest in some stuff we need for the next one. So the thing you need the most is going to be the T-Breaker, which we should have picked up since that was the last collectible we just got. and then you want to also try to invest in some retry chips. This is for the sake of convenience because Inferno is a pretty hard stage with the scrolling parts. But make sure you start up the stage, and then this time we are switching over to Zero and Ultimate Armor X, and I really do recommend having the Ultimate Armor version for this. As you can see, I also invested in some health ups so the spikes won't give us any trouble, because restarting this level is an absolute nightmare with the scrolling bits. Make your way back into the boiler room. This is going to be the part where you start encountering the enemies with the freezing guns. Take them out and then keep dropping down until you get to this corner. Drop down one more flight of pipes, and then this is the part with the stunning enemy. You want to switch over to Zero. You need to equip the T-Breaker hammer, so make sure you go into your inventory and then equip it. You should now be able to break the floor if you hit the Y button, so make sure you use that attack. The floor should break. Hit the Y button again to break this box, and then underneath it is going to be your next collectible, so make sure you pick that up. After that, continue on through the stage until you get to the beginning of the second scrolling part. It should be right after the second boiler room mini boss. You have to switch over to Ultimate Armor X. You want to jump up, Nova Strike on this platform, and then quickly make your way up. If one of the platforms drops, you have to start all over, which is very annoying, but if you timed it correctly, you should be able to make it in this room. And behind the two enemies is going to be the next collectible. And then the final stage is going to be the Troya base, which has the most annoying collectibles. Starting off, the first one isn't too bad. It's going to be right after the 5th challenge, which is going to be the conveyor belts with the claw enemy. So make sure you get past this. And then in the room between the 5th and the 6th challenge is going to be the collectible. You are going to need Axel for this, or I believe you can also make it with X's Nova Strike, so just float on over and the collectible should be on this platform underneath the door, so make sure you grab that. After that, it's on to the final 2, as well as the most annoying 2, which require you to do well in the Troya base challenges. I recommend having Black Zero and the Sigma Blade for this, so make sure you invest all your money into getting the Sigma Blade, because after this we have the way to get infinite money. Before you start, make sure you equip the Sigma Blade, and then you want to hop in to the first teleporter. The first challenge is going to be pretty easy, especially playing as Black Zero with the Sigma Blade's reach. Just jump back and forth and just swat the enemies before they even come onto the screen. Their hitbox will appear as they're getting onto the edge of the screen, so you can actually hit them before they even come on. And then with the Sigma Blade, you should be able to destroy every wave in 1 or 2 hits. And your goal for this is to try to get to 100 kills within the time limit. You want to try to get as close to 100 as possible, which once again with this setup is way easier. So just keep going back and forth, keep swatting guys with the Sigma Blade, and 100 should come in no time. So with this method, I got to about 90, which was good enough for me to get the rank 1. You know what rank 1 is if the dot is in the highest position. After that, make sure you make your way over to the second trial. Hop into the teleporter and make sure you get this one started. Honestly, the first one is probably the hardest of the 7 you have to do. So with that in mind, once again, having Black Zero with the Sigma Blade makes everything easy. For this one, you just have to kill the enemy as fast as possible. Just swat the blade downward and you should kill him right as he appears in like 1 hit. Then it's on to the third trial, and most of the trials after this point are going to play like this. Kill the enemy or enemies as quickly as possible, and you should be able to get rank 1 every single time. So next one, you're going to be on these platforms. Just jump up and swat it. Easy peasy. On to number 4. So just make your way past these in-between bits, which get annoying too because there's some tough platforming, although you're not graded on them, so it's not too bad. But anyways, hop into the teleporter, and challenge number 3 is just going to be 2 enemies. You could probably get them in 1 or 2 swings with the back swing of the Sigma Blade because it's that long, and you should be able to get that done in even under a second. Then on to the next trial, hop into the teleporter, and then we have another similar challenge with a giant enemy. Just keep hitting him with the Sigma Blade. Be as quick as possible. This is the only time in the challenge where I actually took a hit, so make sure you take him out. And then we are on to room number 6. So just keep making your way across. The in-between parts are annoying because you have to do stuff like this where you have to scale the walls. Into the teleporter, and this one is going to be the enemy on the conveyor belt. Just jump forward and slash, and you should go down in 1 hit. And after this, we have this room, which is the hardest in-between bit because you need to wall jump up these very tricky L-shaped platforms right here. So it's a little hard, and I have a lot of trouble with this, as you can see right here. So just try your best to get up, and then once you get to this elevation, just dash across and you should be able to make it. Then finally, it's on to challenge number 7, which is actually the last graded challenge. As you can see, the last challenge doesn't have any tiers to it, so you can do however well in that as possible. But this one's simple, just 2 enemies, go forward, slash them with the blade, and they should die in like 1 or 2 hits. Then in this in-between room, you can see the game's unfair spike damage applied, especially with black armor's damage increase. But during the last challenge, there is actually no rating, so you can do however well or however poorly you want. I was able to beat this with Icarus Armor X, so if your 0 goes down, you shouldn't worry about this one since this one isn't graded, but you still have to get past it. It's going to be the fight in the train against the enemy with a bunch of armor and rockets and stuff. Just keep jumping and shooting or jumping and slashing. He goes down in like 3 seconds with X, however, you can also keep 0 alive if you weren't like me, and you are able to take this guy out in even less time. But after him, go through the last in-between room, which is just a straight shot with some jumps, and then we are given our reward in this room. And if you manage to get the highest ranking on all of the trials, you should get the collectible known as the Metal Generator, which is very useful because it will allow us to spoof money. Then we actually have one more collectible, which is done in the exact same way, except this time it's to get the highest ranking in 6 out of the 7 rankable missions. So my best advice for this is to get to number 6, which should be the challenge with the conveyor belt right here. So make sure you do well on that one. You should be at 6. Then once you get to challenge number 7, you want to play poorly on purpose. And if you remember, this should be the challenge right after the tricky jump room, and it should be the one where we fight the 2 guys. So as you can see here, I switched over to X, and then to do poorly, all you have to do is just take your time and make sure they damage you every now and again. So just kind of walk back and forth and just kind of, mess around. I like killing them when the timer is at about 20 seconds or so. But as long as you do poorly, you should get a middle or a low ranking. And as long as you get 6 out of 7, you should get the last collectible. So you have to get past the other challenge, obviously. But once again, that one doesn't have a ranking. So that one shouldn't mess with this current run. So get to the next room and then get past all that stuff that you have to do to get to the treasure room. And then once you're there, you just want to pick up your last collectible. It should appear if your board looks something like this. So if it looks like that, you know you are doing it right. Make your way to the last room and pick up the last treasure. Now, the last thing you need to do actually before getting the achievement is to actually buy the power-ups. Just picking them up won't actually give them to you. You have to buy them in the store because reasons. So, of course, we need a ton of money for this. So, the first thing you want to put your upgrades into is going to be the Metal Generator and the Metal Discount. Metal Discount gives us a 10% discount on everything, and the Metal Generator will generate money as we are walking. And to grind this out, you want to load up a stage that has a barrier, which you can just walk by rubber banding the analog stick down. I recommend picking Booster Force because there's a barrier right to the left. Make sure you just tape the analog stick down to the grip of the controller and just leave it here for an hour or 2. You need about 180,000 or so metal in order to buy all the power-ups, which takes maybe an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes or so. But once you have enough money, make sure you head back to the R&D lab, go into the store again, and make sure you buy all of the upgrades. The only ones that are going to count towards the achievement are the character-specific ones, so everything that isn't in the All tab. So the X, Zero, and Axle tabs, you want to make sure you buy all the upgrades. And you know you are doing it right if your character's percentage level under their power is going up on the right. So make sure you buy everything. Just run down the list. You should have everything picked up at this point, and then just go through all this. The only note to keep in mind is Zero's last power-up is the Sigma Blade, which also counts towards the achievement, but obviously we bought it already for the challenge. But keep in mind, if you aren't using cheat codes, you can't get the Sigma Blade in your first playthrough. That's a note to keep in mind if you're one of those purists who don't get achievements using cheat codes or any in-game exploits. But whatever the case, just make sure you finish upgrading him and Axel, and once you buy the last one, you should get the achievement. There it is. It's going to be for 30 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.